Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank the organizers for the invitation, first of all. It is a pleasure for me to participate in this debate focused on the Poseidon Med project, as you know, co-financed by the European Union with the participation of Italy as a member state, together with Croatia, Cyprus, Greece, and Slovenia. The project aims at promoting the adoption of LNG as fuel for maritime shipping operations. LNG is a global resource that can increase energy security by stimulating the use of natural gas as marine fuel in transport, offering a viable alternative in terms of costs and sustainability in comparison to other existing fuels. Put in perspective, the availability of adequate storage infrastructures, which in the future will likely attract ships coming also from emerging markets, will allow to enjoy the foreseen favorable international prices and the forthcoming entry into service of new liquefaction plants. In fact, the point in favor for the promotion of LNG is that natural gas is the only fossil fuel whose worldwide demand is expected to grow over time. Under the scenario 2040 described in the World Energy Outlook 2014 of the International Energy Agency, the global share of natural gas is expected to grow from 21% of the world energy mix in 2012 to 24% in 2040, ranking second after oil. In 2014, the quantities traded of LNG globally amounted to 241.1 million tons, over 4.3 million tons compared to 2013. Italy, through the Ministry of Economic Development, is working actively on the use of liquefied natural gas by publishing in June 2015 a consultation document to develop national strategy of LNG. Indeed, the increase of LNG use is entirely consistent with the objectives set by our National Energy Strategy, SEN, launched in 2013. Among the strengths deriving from the national use of LNG, I would mention that, first of all, it helps achieving environmental objectives and decarbonization through the progressive substitution effect on other fossil fuels with greater CO2 emissions. Environmentally, being LNG a clean fuel that contains no sulfur, its use in transportation by land and sea can help reducing greenhouse gas emissions. In particular, the use of LNG in maritime transport sector will reduce the impact of sulfur present in fuels in line with the objectives set by the European Directive 2012/33 EU. LNG is also an important tool to reduce the impact of vessels and activities in the ports of seaside cities, where the emission reduction can help improving air quality. The use of LNG can also help to meet the needs of diversification of sources, supply, and logistics, thus increasing energy security. Moreover, the increase in global LNG trade will reduce the risk of supply disruptions by diversifying sources of supply. Energy security itself, meaning the continuous availability of energy resources at an affordable price, is an essential component of national and economic security for all countries and a prerequisite for stable international relations. LNG technology and infrastructure, LNG carriers, regasification reliability, etc., continue to improve over time and have confirmed over the past years the LNG's strategic role in the securing of supplies perspective in several occasions, such as extreme cold weather or when importing pipelines were temporarily interrupted, continuing to operate even under challenging meta-ocean conditions, and meeting requests for send-out flexibility coming from customers. The use of LNG can also help sparking economic growth, with new instruments required for its robust and flexible infrastructures, such as interconnections, LNG facilities and storage, and for distribution networks. All aspects going hand in hand with security of supply, and that will pave the way to greater economic advantages for the operators of national industries. Therefore, under all these points of view, LNG is a key source for the security of the entire energy system. This is also in line with the EU approach, LNG is considered an important factor for enhancing the security and diversification of supplies, as raised by the European Commission in its communication number 80/2015, better known as Package to a Union Energy. Among its points of action, there is a commitment for a comprehensive strategy for LNG and its storage. Let me also recall the Directive 94/2014, which promotes alternative fuels for maritime transport and the creation of infrastructures for the distribution of LNG, with supply points in the national seaports. As required by this directive, Italy is setting up the above-mentioned national strategic plan on the use of LNG for transport. The European market for LNG transport has, after all, a high growth potential, as demand in the downstream segment is expected to grow in the medium term. In particular, for Italy, it is estimated that by the year 2030, LNG will replace conventional fuels by 10 up to 20%. Europe is also active in projects for the use of LNG in maritime transportation, and Poseidon Med witnesses this engagement, being aimed at developing a global strategy for the promotion of LNG as marine fuel. Italy is actively involved in the project through its national implementing bodies, the port authorities of La Spezia, Venice and Trieste, as well as Conship Italia SPA. The idea of studying the establishment of a comprehensive LNG network in the East Mediterranean area, including the Adriatic, which, by the way, is the focus area of Poseidon Med, draws us immediately into a broader consideration for the dual role of the Mediterranean Sea, for production, supply and trade. About 90% of the world's maritime traffic passes through this area, which is increasingly becoming the preferred route of the main shipping companies. Italy and Europe can benefit from a comparative advantage, their geographical proximity to the Mediterranean. With it comes the opportunity to create a Euro-Mediterranean bridge of strategic importance for the use of natural gas in our economies. This point was emphasized during the semester of Italian EU presidency in 2014 with the Euromed Ministerial Conference held in Rome on November 19, 2014, in collaboration with the EU Commission. The final statement of the conference encourages the development of a Euro-Mediterranean energy partnership based on 3 thematic platforms, one of which is precisely dedicated to gas, Euromed Platform on Gas, to assist government and private sector to improve supply of natural gas, to encourage the exchange of best practices, and to improve the regulatory framework in view of an increasingly integrated regional market. In conclusion, the use of LNG as an alternative fuel widely available and environmentally sustainable can contribute significantly to the green transformation of the European transport market. We are only a few days ahead the beginning of COP21 summit in Paris, a global response to fight global warming. Climate change is already happening in various forms of calamities, causing discontinuity in the supply of water, energy and food, damages to people and infrastructures, economies and nature with huge costs. We have proved here with Poseidon Med project that Europe has already put in place some practical tools to provide a progressive reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. LNG as a promising solution, both in economic and environmental terms, is our best practice we can showcase from this meeting in Athens while approaching the COP21 and welcoming its successful outcome. Thank you all for your kind attention.